Chapter 2 of Csx Rule Book 2014, Chapter 2, Signals of Their Use. 200, Flag appliances are providing warning. At the beginning of the tour duty, there must be a minimum of 6 red fuses and 1 red flag on each of the following: lead locomotive of every train and rear car of the passenger train, shoving the platform's occupied caboose. 202, the employees required to provide warning signals must have the proper appliance available in good order and ready for the immediate use. 203, when provided 200.3, when providing warning signals, employees must use the red flag fuses during the day, white light and red fuses at night, and during the day when signals cannot be plainly seen. 204. Do not place burning fuses, platform, bridges, or buildings, composition, rubber surfaces, road crossing, or other fire-prone locations. 201. Providing warning against approaching trains. When required to provide warning against the approaching trains, crew must engage in any of the unrelated tasks. 201.2. Employees required to provide with a warning against the approaching trains must provide protection minimum distance as follows: 20 miles an hour or less, 1/4 of a mile, 21 to 30 miles an hour, half a mile, 31 to 40 miles an hour, 1 mile, 41 to 90 miles an hour, 1.5 miles, and 91 miles an hour or greater 2 miles. 201.3. When required to provide the warning of the head engine of the train against the approaching train, the employee provided with the protection must be equipped with the flagging equipment and immediately give order the minimum warning distance ahead of the train. Display one of the lighted fuses. Remain in the location of the warning is no longer required. When required to provide the warning against the approaching train of the adjacent track, the employees provided the protection must be equipped with the flagging equipment and immediately place the lighted fuse on the adjacent track and on the head of the train. Go to the minimum warning distance direction of the approaching train. Remain at the location until the warning is no longer required. 201.5. The train fouls the control track without authority. Immediately notify the train dispatcher. Provide protection against the train on the track with the minimum required warning distance in both directions. 201.6. Warning against approaching trains is not required when relieved of the train dispatcher. Relieved by the train dispatcher, communication is established with effective movements. 202. Hand flag and lantern signals. Hand flag lantern signals must be given sufficiently advanced and permit compliance be used. The continuous visual contact exists between the locomotive operator and the employee directing the movement, not to be used simultaneously with radio communication except when stop is required. Given a hand and flag lantern signals as follows: swing at the right of the angle of the track means stop. Slight horizontal movement of the arm length to the right angle of the track is reduced speed. Raise the lower vertical, proceed. Swing vertical circles right angle to the track back. Swing horizontal above the head at the right of the angle of the track when the equipment is standing. Apply the air brakes. Hold the arm lengths above the head, and when the equipment is standing, release the air brakes. And any object waved violently by anyone on or near the track is stop. Employees given the hand of the flag lantern must remain in the position clearly seen and given the signals prevent a misunderstanding corresponding to the direction the locomotive is headed. 202.4. The employees receiving the hand and flag lantern must keep the constant lookout for the signals. If there is any doubt of the meaning of the instruction of whom the instruction is intended, the movement must stop and immediately not resume the instruction for the are understood. 202.5. The hand flag lantern speed signal to proceed does not relieve the employees for the compliance with the rules of fixed signals with the restrict movement and the required stops. 202.6. Before changing the hand of the flag of the lantern signal to a radio signal from on the radio signal to the hand flag lantern signal, all crew members must be notified and acknowledged in the understanding. 203. The locomotive bell and horn. Ringing the locomotive bell before the moving of the locomotive has been stopped 1 minute or more while approaching the passenger trains, approaching the passenger over the public crossing at the grade, moving through the tunnels, approaching the person on or around the track structure, approaching the passing road workers identified with the white and orange hard hats. 203.2. Sound of horn signal as follows: the 0 is short and a dash is long. Two long signals, a short and a long. Approaching the public highway grade crossing, sound for the horn at least 15 seconds, but not more than 20 seconds before the lead locomotive enters the crossing. The train and locomotive is traveling at a speed greater than 45 miles an hour. Begin with the sounding at the horn and about not more than 1/4 of a mile in advance the nearest public crossing. Even if the advance warning provided with the horn will be less than 15 seconds in duration, the signal is prolonged and repeated for the train and locomotive occupies the crossing while multiple crossings are involved until the last crossing is occupied. Two long, short, and long. Approaching passing road workers identified with white and orange hard hats. Also, two long and one short and one long, approaching tunnel yards to other points where the railroad workers may be present. Two long, one short, one long, meeting, passing standard train. A long, short sound, approaching passenger station. Succession of sounds, warning to the people and animals near the track. Too long, proceeding and reversing after the beginning stop from 1 minute or more, but does not apply to switching movements. Too short, acknowledging any signal not otherwise provided. A long and a short when running against the current traffic, approaching stations, curves, and other points where their view is obstructed, approaching the passenger and the freight trains. The locomotive horn must be sounded with the intensity duration to convey with the intended warning not to be used unnecessary. When the lead locomotive horn fails within route, notify the train dispatcher in yard more than any other move in another locomotive while in the horn to the lead to stop and protect all the highway railway crossings at the grade. 204 locomotive lights. 204.1 locomotive numbered lights must only be illuminated with the locomotive identified with the train. 204.2 leading end of the train must be display a headlight on the bright unless otherwise specified by the rule. 204.3 the headlight of the leading end of the train must be dimmed when required to provide with the safety employees at the yards with the switching is being done, approaching the passenger station where the stop are to be made. Standing behind the stop train is standing on the main track is not signal territory. Approaching the passing locomotive consisting on the head end and the rear end of the train on the adjacent track using the hand signals. 2044 headlight may be turned off when standing on the control track of the signal territory, standing on the track other than the main track on the end of the locomotive coupled to the cars. 2045 if the headlight of the leading end of the train is en route, notify the train dispatcher yardmaster provided the lead locomotive on the two working auxiliary lights of the train may continue unrestricted to the next point of the headlight can be repaired. If the lead locomotive does not have the two working auxiliary lights, the train must be operated under the following conditions. Display a white light on the leading end at night, ring a bell continuously while moving, sound the horn frequently, reduce the train when necessary to ensure safety, and continue to the next point when repaired. When leading the end of the locomotive is being equipped with auxiliary lights, and the auxiliary lights must be operated properly before departing the initial terminal. The auxiliary lights must be only headlighted as required to be on the bright. 247 auxiliary lights must be turned off when stopped. May be turned off if the vision impaired, reflection from smoke, fog, or other conditions, and the train is not approaching, passing, or the highway railway crossing at the grade. 2048. The auxiliary lights fail en route. The contact of the train dispatcher or the yardmaster. If one of the lights fail, the train may continue and restricted until the next calendar day inspection. B. If both lights fail, do not exceed 20 miles an hour over the highway railway crossing of the grade. Continue to the next location where the repairs can be made. 205. End of the train marker. A marker must be 205.1. A marker must be displayed on the rear car of the train with the occupying control track, except for the authoritative movement. Include main track yard limits not signaled YL, and the yard limits signaled yard limits S. For 1 hour before the sunset until the 1 hour of the sunrise, when the conditions restrict the visibility 1/2 mile less on the tangent track. The marker must be illuminated red, orange, amber light. The red, orange, amber light equipped with the automatic activation of red flag only when moving no further than the next repair point of the defective cars prevents the placement of the illuminated marker. 205.3. From 1 hour of the sunrise until 1 hour before the sunset, marker may be a red flag not illuminated by the end train of the device or the red, orange, amber marking light. The 205, the rear locomotive head of the dim may be used in the marker for a locomotive consisting without cars, a signal locomotive, a locomotive at the rear of the train. If the crew required illuminated, but must be inspected before the departing initial terminal and crew change point by crew member or another qualified employee. Information displayed on the head train of the HCD. And the inspection of the 205.6 and the inspection of the marker is performed an employee who is not the member of the train. Crew protection must be provided with the employee files of the equipment. The protection must be a blue signal protection when the train is standing on the other than a main track, obtained with the employee with the train standing on the main track prior to the following equipment. Performing the inspection, the employee must conform to 3 steps. Protection has been applied to the locomotive operator. 2057. When performance of the inspection of the marker that has been required illuminated with the employee performing the inspection must verify the marker and illuminated with illuminated pressing on the activation switch or covering the photoelectric cell, and 2. Communicate with the result of the locomotive operator. 205. The employees must observe the passing of the train markers. If the marker is not properly displayed, notify the crew of the passing train. If unable to contact the passing train, notify the train dispatcher. 2059. If the marker fails en route, report the Occurrence of the train dispatcher proceeding to the next location when the marker of the light can be repaired or replaced. 206. Two-way telemetry. 2061. Freight trains must be equipped with armed and working two-way telemetry unless one of the following conditions: a train is light locomotive only. A crew member has the ability to initiate the emergency brake application from the rear third of the train. The train has 4,000 trailing tons less than will not exceed 30 miles an hour, or operate a section of the track where the grade is more than 2% or more. The train must have 4,000 training tons and will not exceed 30 miles per hour, operating a section of the track of the grade 1% or more. 2062. The passenger train must be equipped with test and armed operated two-way telemetry unless one of the following conditions applies. A. All cars equipped with the accessible emergency brake valves. B. The rear air car is equipped with the accessible emergency brake valve and is occupied with a radio-equipped crew member. C. The train has 24 cars or less. The number of cars in the emergency brake valve must be in a car and hand. If you have 4 cars, you're on the second car. Emergency brake valve must be in a car behind. 5 to 6, third car. 7 to 8, fourth car in or behind. 10 in the fifth car. 11 12, sixth car. 13 ninth car. 14 and 15, 10th car. 16 8th 11th car. 17 18, 12th car. 19 13 car. 20 21 car. 14th car. And 22 number of cars. The 15th car of the emergency brake valve must be in or on the car behind. 23 or 4, the 16th car. Operating at 2% grade or more, the prior to descending of the locomotive operator must conform with the conductor with the radio equipment crew member is stationed with the rear emergency brake equipped in the car, while descending the crew member located with the rearmost emergency brake valve must contain the constant radio communication with the locomotive operator until the train has been descended to the grade. 2063. The inspection of the train operating with the passenger equipment does not require the two-way telemetry. 2064. Performing the following procedures with the two-arm way telemetry. Enter the ID code of the end of the train into the head of the train device. Press the test button for the end of the train, at which appropriate the arm now button for the head of the train device, and make certain end emergency capability established with the indicated with the emergency enabled or armed message. 2065. When notified by the mechanical department of the emergency capability of the telemetry passed with the bench test, no further test is required. While telemetry is not bench test, performing the following testing: charge the brake pipe with required pressure of the train, close the angle cock between the rear car and the end of the train, activate the emergency feature of the head train device, and making certain the air pressure immediately exhausted the end of the train. Readouts of the end of the train and head train device indicate zero pressure. Open the angle cock between the rear car and the end of the train. Verify the air pressure is restored. 2066. Telemetry must be disarmed. Locomotive is cut off and no longer be the control locomotive on the train. To disarm the emergency capability, change the code of the head of the train device to 00000 and press the appropriate button to disarm. 2067. The telemetry can be used to perform the air brake test. Meet the two-way equipped requirements when the following conditions are met. 1. The controlling locomotive is operated with the head train device. The rear car is equipped with the operative at the end of the train capability. The two-way communication of the readouts displayed at the end of the train and the head train. The head train device do not differ for more than 3 psi. 2068. When a helper locomotive is coupled to the head of the controlling locomotive of the train, the helper locomotive is not required to be equipped with the head train device capable of two-way telemetry to be armed at the end of the train as long as the following conditions are met. Two-way radio communication is established, maintained between the locomotive operator's helper locomotive and locomotive of the train. Locomotive operator's helper train locomotive in the train must conform to the radio communication before the train resumes operation. Before reaching the crest of the grade, the train must be stopped if the radio communication is lost. Two-way telemetry must be regarded as failed en route, which cannot be learned with the location of the or originating terminal when message indicated with the following display of the head train device: the dead battery, replaced battery, valve failure, disarmed, or front or to rear, no communication. Note that rear to front, no communication is not a failure message. 20610. A freight train has the en route failure to two-way telemetry must exceed 30 miles an hour, must not transverse the 2% grade unless the following conditions are met: an occupied helper or the occupied caboose is shoving the platform equipped with the initiated emergency brake is coupled to the rear of the train. The employees of the head and the rear must ensure radio communication is established and maintained. Verify the communication just prior to the crossing of the grade, stopping the train, and if so, to do so, the communication train fails before the cresting of the grade. Initiating emergency application for the air brakes if the train exceeds the authorized speed of 5 miles an hour. or more. A radio control locomotive capable of initiating the emergency brake application command with the controlling locomotive at the rear of 1/3 of the train under the control of the locomotive operator on the head end. 20611. A passenger train has the en route failure to two-way telemetry must not have the 2% grade, must correct the condition of the first location where the repairs can be made when an appropriate brake test is required for the radio equipment and crewed. Position of the rearmost containing the accessible emergency brake valve. Periodic passenger train running with the air brake test must be performed only if the failure is corrected. 20612. Immediate report of the end of the train to the head of the train device, effective the train dispatcher, yardmaster, mechanical desk, with any of the following below recorded to the head of the train device. Defects of the locomotive work report: low failed battery, low loss of communication, failure to establish loss of emergency capability, defective inoperable marker, motion detector, air pressure sensing equipment. Chapter 3: Movement of the trains.